Hello and welcome to the Empress podcast. I am your host, Jessica, known in the online space as Jess the Empress. I started this podcast to help you be present with yourself, cope with chaos, and simplify your life. I do this by combining psychology, behavioral science, and the tarot. I have a background in mental health, specifically a master's in clinical social work from USC, and I'm a professional tarot reader. So get ready to have a nurturing, creative, and empowering experience with me as we use practical magic. Hey, hi, hello. Welcome back to the pod. It's your girl, Jess. I am so happy to be here this month. The card for the month is the Five of Pentacles, and you're going to see that float across your screen if you are on video, if you're watching this on video. And if not, just know that the Five of Pentacles looks kind of like a bummer of a card. There's two people. They're walking in the snow. It looks like they're in rag clothes, and they're walking past what could be perceived as like a church or some type of building with stained glass windows. And the pentacles are actually a part of that stained glass window setting. And it looks like it's a lot of bright colors, a lot of warmth kind of coming from the inside. And so there's this contrast between what might be something that's helpful and could save or rescue these people. But then you're also just seeing like the differences between people struggling and maybe, thinking about the life or the joy or happiness that's inside of those walls. And so what we're going to talk about this month then is moving from helplessness to empowerment. What's really important to understand about the Five of Pentacles, when we have the number 5, this is a time of doing things with all of our senses. This means that we're taking in new sights, new sounds, we're trying on different things, we're opening up our mind. But we also have a lot of choices when we get a number 5. We always have a lot of choices. However, when we draw the Five of Pentacles, we have a choice that's about going forward or about moving backward, kind of sliding back into old habits, or deciding that we want to expand and do new things and have new experiences. So we're going to leave helplessness behind. We're going to learn how to do that this month. And so we're going to stay in an empowered place moving forward. Let's go ahead and dive in. This episode is not so much on the helplessness and making you feel bad if you do find yourself in those places. We're really going to focus on adversity and why adversity is so important and how it's actually an unexpected teacher that is going to hold a lot of the keys to transformation. So if you're listening to this and you feel like life isn't going the way that you want, if you feel like you're stuck and you're watching your life from the sidelines while, everybody else is moving forward with a lot of ease, I want to say that you're not alone in that feeling. And more importantly, you're not broken for having that feeling. What you might be experiencing is what some psychologists are calling learned helplessness. And it's a pattern. So what's the good news is that you can change it. If you learned it, then you can change what you've learned. Today, we're going to explore what adversity really is, why it's actually essential for human growth, and how some people transform their struggles into strengths while other people remain stuck. I'm going to share 3 practical techniques that you can use immediately, including body-based approaches that work when your mind is feeling really overwhelmed. Coffee lovers, are you tired of settling for boring coffee? I have a treat for you. Today's episode is brought to you by Heartwork Coffee Bar, your one-stop destination for exceptional coffee experiences. Whether you're a coffee connoisseur or just someone who appreciates a great cup of joe, Heartwork Coffee Bar is here to elevate your coffee game to new heights. At Heartwork Coffee Bar, they take pride in their craft because each batch is carefully roasted to perfection, ensuring that every sip is a symphony of flavor. From the rich and the robust to the light and fruity, they have a coffee blend for every palate. And here's the best part. For you amazing podcast listeners, Heartwork Coffee Bar is offering an exclusive 10% discount on your purchase. Just use the code Empress10 at checkout and you'll save big on your order. Why settle for ordinary when you can indulge in the extraordinary coffee from Heartwork Coffee Bar? Remember to use code Empress10 for that special 10% discount and treat yourself to the coffee experience that you deserve. Don't miss out on this fantastic offer. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thanks to Heartwork Coffee Bar for making today's episode possible. Now go grab your favorite mug, brew a fresh cup, and enjoy the podcast with the perfect companion, Heartwork Coffee Bar. Cheers. Let's start with clarity. Adversity isn't always about these really big, dramatic challenges like job loss or illness or relationships ending. Adversity can also be the daily friction of unmet expectations, the slow burn of unfulfilling routines, and the quiet desperation of dreams deferred. And here's what's really fascinating about adversity. It serves as a crucial biological and psychological function. Research shows that a moderate amount of stress will actually improve traits like mastery and toughness, which makes individuals a lot more confident about their abilities and better able to develop their coping skills. So we are literally designed to grow through our challenges. However, many of us have been conditioned to see struggle as evidence of failure rather than growth. And I want you to take a moment and reflect on your own life and how people around you growing up showed you struggle. What was their relationship to their own struggles? What was their relationships to the little struggles and to the big struggles? What kind of messages did they share with you about their struggle? Because some of that you might have taken on without ever really deciding for yourself what it could mean for you. We live in a culture that promises ease and comfort, leaving us unprepared for the inevitable difficulties that shape us into who we're meant to become. I have used this example before and I'm going to use it again, but think about muscle growth. Resistance in the gym, that creates strength. This is the same principle. It applies to psychological resilience. Without challenges, we actually remain fragile. With too much overwhelming challenges, then we break. So we need a sweet spot of manageable adversity where we develop the capacities that we didn't know that we had. In the 1960s, psychologist Martin Seligman, I think that's how you say his name. You'll see everything in the show notes. There's a document with the details. Okay, so he made a groundbreaking discovery through which he did a lot of research on learned helplessness. His experiments showed that when subjects experienced uncontrollable negative events, they often stopped trying to escape, even when escape became possible. So the key word here is learned. This is not a permanent personality trait. This is a conditioned response. Learned helplessness is characterized by three main features. Okay, so the first one is a lack of motivation when facing new challenges. The second one is difficulty learning from success. And the third is emotional numbness despite high internal stress. I'm going to launch into a story. Okay, so this is going to help give you a clearer picture of how learned helplessness can manifest. We're going to do a comparison and contrast. So let's dive into this story about Sarah. After a series of career setbacks, she developed the belief that nothing she did mattered. When opportunities arose, she would think to herself, why should I even bother? I'll just do this the wrong way anyway. It's not even going to work out. Yeah, so why even try? Her learned helplessness became a self-fulfilling prophecy. She stopped applying for jobs that excited her. She stopped networking. She stopped taking risks. Not because she was incapable, but because she learned to expect failure. Let's contrast this with Marcus. He faced very similar career challenges, but interpreted them differently. After every single setback, he sat down and he asked himself, what is it that I can learn from this and how can I adapt? When the next opportunity came, he was ready. Same adversity, but a different internal response Therefore, there was different outcomes. What the key difference is, and this is huge, Marcus maintained what psychologists call agency, the belief that his actions could influence his outcomes, even if he couldn't control everything. And this is where we find ourselves with the Five of Pentacles when we draw it. We might be facing some setbacks, we might be facing adversity because these people are depicted like out in the snow. And with pentacles, we have a lot of material goods usually involved in our interpretation. The pentacles themselves can symbolize coins and money. If things are kind of rocky, it is so easy to sometimes just say, I can't do this anymore. I'm going to give up. I'm done. I'm tired of trying. I've been there. We've all been there. But we have to remember that we have agency and that we can take action. And I think that's the key point here in the Five of Pentacles as well. It's like, what are we going to do about the adversity we're facing? That's pretty much what that card is asking of us. It's asking us to decide what action steps we're going to take, obviously, that align with our beliefs, that are going to help us become unstuck and not further this problem or this challenge that we're facing. And certainly not to throw our hands up and just say, there's nothing that I can do. When we think about the number five, moving into the number six, which would be the Six of Pentacles in this example, is all about fairness and balance. And also because it's moving upward in terms of like from 1 to 10, it's growing in its size. It is gaining strength. The more that we do things, the more we learn. But we have to ask ourselves, just like Marcus asked himself, what is it that I'm learning from this situation? There's two psychologists I'm going to mention, and I'm probably going to pronounce their names wrong, but the first one is Richard Tedeschi, and the second is Lawrence Calhoun. They both identified that there is such a thing as post-traumatic growth. And there's 5 key areas of post-traumatic growth. The first thing is personal strength. The second is new possibility. The third is stronger relationships. The fourth is a deeper appreciation for life. And the fifth is spiritual growth. And research suggests that half to 2/3 of trauma survivors may experience some forms of post-traumatic growth. They don't do this by having toxic positivity. They also do not deny the pain that they have experienced. They just really understand their human capacity to transform what they've suffered through into wisdom. So I will give you an example of my own life. I got really, really sick a couple of years ago, and I had to evaluate a lot of different areas of my life. Not only was it, what I was eating, but it was how was I taking care of myself? What was I doing and not doing? What was my mindset like? What was my mind like in general? Was I having a balance of fun and pleasure, or was I just kind of putting that off to the side? I was holding on to a lot of stress and I didn't know how to really let it go. I had the tools, but I was just not stepping into them. My mind was really trapped in this place of like, you have to work, you have to work, you have to work, you have to figure this out. And I just got stuck in there of like problem solving 24/7. And obviously, nobody can live in that space without there being negative consequences. And so I faced those negative consequences, but I now have the wisdom moving forward to take better care of myself. And I feel like we all have our own version of that story in our lives where we get stuck in something. And I think that can also be the Five of Pentacles, focusing on that stuckness. Like, again, sometimes when we're in the thick of it, it is so easy to just say, this is the way that it is, and it's never going to change. But we have to remember to flex our mental muscle. We have to continue to do things that stretch us, even when we're in the middle of something we don't like and we're hating how we feel about things. But that's exactly what post-traumatic growth is in action. It's not like that I was grateful for my suffering, and you don't have to be grateful for your suffering either. A lot of people do say like, I'm grateful for all the things that I went through. I don't buy that. I feel like you can recognize what you went through and how that transformed you and how you responded to those challenges. You decided that you wanted to be a different version of yourself. You decided that you didn't want to be stuck anymore. I feel like if anything, that's something to celebrate. You don't have to have gratitude. I feel like those are two different things, but I'm putting it out there as an option, you know? I have three practical resilience techniques that I want to share with you. These are all evidence based and they integrate the mind and the somatic approaches. Because what's so interesting about the Five of Pentacles, and even like when I pull it in session with people, people will literally hold their breath and be like, oh no, the Five of Pentacles. Like, because again, it's such a bummer looking of a card. Like, it's not pretty. And it's like, I think it's so beautifully reflects like when we're struggling, the human experience of struggle. That's what's so cool about it. But we don't love that as a human. Yeah, we're not like, yeah, I love struggle. So of course we're just naturally like shying away from this or acting like, I don't want this to be true. I don't want to admit it. But if we admit how we're having a hard time with things, that's actually okay because then we can brainstorm again that action plan, getting you back into your agency. What do you want to do about this? And if we're not connected to our body, because remember, one of the signs for learned helplessness is numbing out. In order to have agency, we need to tap in. Okay. We need to know that we can feel our feelings. Even if we hate the feeling, we can still feel it. Like we don't have to love everything about this process of self regulation, of self development, of life's challenges. Okay. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the coherent breathing reset. This technique works with your nervous system directly. Somatic approaches focus on regulating the nervous system, again, helping us shift from reactive states to more balanced, socially engaging states that foster safety and well being. If we don't think we're capable, then we're never really going to think, I'm safe enough to try X, Y, or Z. So we need to teach ourselves that we're safe to make our choices, we're safe to have the experiences of our choices, and we're safe to just trial and error our way through everything in life. So here's how this works. You're going to breathe in for 4 counts through your nose. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you're going to hold for 4 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you're going to exhale for 6 counts through your mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ideally, you can repeat that 10 times, but if 4 or 5 works for you and you're starting to feel better, rad. The longer exhales are actually what activate your parasympathetic nervous system. And this is literally telling your body that it's safe to relax, and this will help you think more clearly. Do this before you make any type of decision or when you're really starting to feel overwhelmed with the challenges that you're facing. The second technique is a journaling technique. This addresses any of the cognitive patterns that you have maintained regarding learned helplessness. So the current challenges you're facing, you want to write them down. And then you're going to write 3 versions of this story. The first one is the learned helplessness version. How it seems when you're stuck. How does this story play out? The second is the learning version. What skills or insights might emerge from this particular story? And then the third is the growth version. How might this contribute to who you're becoming? I always think about this one and I tell this to my clients. I'm like, do it for the plot. Do you guys remember that like online trend where they're like, it's for the plot, it's for the plot. And it was like this fun and I thought helpful reframe of like the challenges you're facing. I mean, you can make it about you because it is about you. It's not that you're wallowing. It's just that like, this is your life. This is your story. Look, you have a plot twist right now. These are the challenges that you're facing. And you, as the main character, can do whatever you want. So, what are you going to do for the plot, babe? You're not pretending that these challenges aren't real. Like, you're very clearly going to write them out. You're facing them. And what you're doing here is that you're expanding your perspective beyond only one interpretation, that learned helplessness interpretation. It's okay that it exists. This is not about taking it away. This is just about realizing that this is not the only perspective that you actually have to rely on to live your life and to navigate challenges. So, recent neuroscience shows that the ventromedial prefrontal cortex plays a crucial role in detecting control, and it can be strengthened through psychological practices, just like this: the writing, the reframing, and the practicing. Again, so many of these things are just skill sets that we were never taught. And so now we're teaching ourselves. It's amazing. The third is the somatic resourcing for stability. When you're feeling helpless, your body often reflects that state. You have collapsed posture, you have shallow breathing, you have a lot of tension in your muscles. This technique is going to help you access your resilience through your body awareness. Resourcing is the practice of inviting the mind and body to tune into sensations of calm, safety, and of goodness, no matter how small they are. It all matters. So, you want to just sit in a comfortable position. You can have your feet on the ground, and you want to place one hand on your heart and you want to place the other hand on your belly. And you want to scan your body for any areas that feel neutral or pleasant. So that could be, again, anywhere. It could be your hands, it could be your feet, it could be your shoulder blades. And you want to breathe into that area for about 2 minutes. So you're just helping yourself relax. And again, noticing what actually feels good will continue to train your brain to notice more of what's feeling good. And that's the whole point. You're supposed to notice how this small shift affects your overall state. And some somatic approaches can help you promote a secure attachment and build resilience because you're addressing some unresolved trauma and you're fostering that greater self awareness and self regulation. I have an action plan for you to help you integrate things. But before that, again, if you're drawing the Five of Pentacles, really just sit with what you might be experiencing. And maybe you do have to take a moment or two to kind of admit to yourself that you're numbing out right now and that you wish help was available, but it's not, From the image on the card, we also have to remember that not every solution that people offer or every solution that we try is going to be the right solution. And this comes down to, again, agency, free will, deciding what's right for you according to your moral compass and your values. Because again, it looks kind of like a church, right? In the card. And so some people are going to have a more traditional approach to their solutions, and other people, that traditional approach is not going to work. And it's not going to work for a myriad of reasons, systemic reasons, personal reasons. Like it's just the way it is, right? I've heard this phrase before and I love it. And it's called all ways are ways, meaning like the way you do it is the right way because it's your way. I understand that there's, again, the traditional way that people would equate to being the right way. But I also think that when it comes to forging your own path, again, experiencing the consequences of your own behavior, consequences aren't always bad. They can be great. When you go do things for yourself, you really just show yourself how capable you are. Yes, there are solutions that exist that are copy and paste, and those things do work. But I think that they sometimes take away from the gift of free will, right? The ability to just find out what works best for us. And the Five of Pentacles can also be a card that is just nudging you in the direction to continue exploring things your own way. Don't forget you have power. Don't forget that what you do matters. Keep trying. The people, as like bummed out as they look, they are still in motion. They're actually actively walking. And I feel like that matters because we do see people sitting and doing other things in cards, but they're not in this card. They're in movement. And so I feel like that's just a little nudge to say, keep going and trying new things. Ask for help because maybe that help that someone gives you, it doesn't really solve anything, but it sparks something in you. It ignites something in you that you get to take as a little nugget of wisdom, and say, oh my gosh, that didn't help, but this will. And you can be inspired by the help that other people lend you. And I think something I don't see a lot of people talking about in the Five of Pentacles, but it does come up, is when we do have to refuse help because it's not the help that we need. See, we don't need to be rescued. We don't need to be saved. As much as we love that, it actually reinforces learned helplessness. And here's why. Because when somebody guardrails us or corrals us or swoops in every single time, they're actually controlling us and undermining our agency. They're undermining our creativity to do something, to learn from it, to try new things, and to figure out our own problems. So be really wary of people that come in that want to solve and fix and rescue everything. I feel like it's a lot of people's like natural impulses to be problem solvers and to want to fix and rescue, but it's also a conditioned response because as an individual, if they love you, they will allow you to be autonomous. They will never try to control you through rescuing. And also, we need to watch out for systems that try to do that. We really want to think critically about the type of systems that are trying to save us and rescue us from our problems. Because as a group, as a community, as a species, we're all responsible individually for solving things, for putting all of our heads together, because we're the ones that create the systems. Now, the systems in place, they totally suck. We are responsible for dismantling them, right? And for creating new systems. So this is a complex card. Okay, so now let's shift into the integration and the action steps. Your immediate plan, it's just not about being tough all the time. That's not what resilience is. It's about developing flexibility. So the three things you can do: one, practice coherent breathing once a day, especially when you start to feel stress. So if you already know like what your stressor points are in the day, for example, if it's you get super stressed if you have to go pick up the kids, then that would be the time to practice. If you get stressed before a meeting, bam, that's the time to practice. Whenever you know your peak stressors are, get back into that coherent breathing. The second thing is excuse me, the second thing is write one resilience story this week about a current challenge. And the third thing is do the somatic resourcing exercise when you start to feel stuck or you start to feel overwhelmed. And you know you feel stuck or overwhelmed typically when your mindset starts to tell you stories like, I can't figure this out. I'm not even going to try. There's no point. You just throw your hands up. You're like that little emoji that's like, whatever. That's how you know you're stuck and overwhelmed. The goal is not about eliminating adversity, it is about changing your relationship with it. Every time that you choose curiosity over certainty, growth over comfort, action over paralysis, you're literally rewiring your brain for resilience. And in some closing thoughts, your struggles are not evidence that you are failing, okay? They're evidence that you're living. The question isn't whether you'll face adversity. It's actually about how you're going to meet adversity. Biggest question you can ask yourself in the Five of Pentacles. How am I going to meet the adversity that I'm facing? You also have a lot more power than you realize. Not power over what happens to you, but power over how you respond. That response, that choice is where your transformation begins. We're here to continue practicing our belief that we do matter, our belief that we can make a difference in our own lives. It's huge. And I feel like more and more, the way things are online, how busy and crazy the world is, we can often very quickly fall into our learned helplessness patterns. And I'm with you. You know, like I said, I've given you examples. I have it happen a million times a day. It's okay. But we're unlearning. We're all unlearning together, and it's so exciting. If this resonated with you, I would love for you to drop some comments into the chat section on YouTube, or you can do that in the comment section of the podcast. I just want to talk. I would love to hear from you about if this resonated. If you're also working on learned helplessness and uncording from that and what's helped you, because you could help somebody else with your comment. So thank you so much for being here today, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. I want to ask you to rate and review my podcast. Giving me a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts would mean the world to me. I love knowing who's listening and what everyone is getting from the episode, so please take a moment of your time to share your thoughts, and I look forward to reading your reviews soon.